Alright, welcome to Stay Tuned's Garage. My name is Alex, and today we're doing something super sick that I've been waiting to do for a really long time. We're going to be lowering my Honda. This part is actually already lowered. It's not crazy low, it's just enough, still functional. We're putting D2 Racing Street Coilovers in my Honda, or I already put 2 of them in. But yeah, I've been wanting to do this to my car for a really long time. I was finally able to save up and buy the coilovers, so I'm super stoked. And yeah, so I really hope you guys enjoy the video and stay tuned. Alright, so first thing you gotta do is jack the car up, which I already did, and take the wheels off. Alright, and this right here is what we are going to be lowering the car with. These are D2 Racing Coilovers. These are their street version. Alright, so we got the wheels off, and we're working on the front right now. First thing we're gonna do is take the front shocks off, or the front shock off. And in order to do that, there's a couple of bolts we need to take off. So there's two 12mm bolts holding on the brake line. There's one here and one right here. We're gonna take those 2 off. And on this side we have one 14mm here that holds on this lower bracket for the shock. We're gonna go ahead and take that off. And then down here we have a 17mm bolt that goes through the shock and through the lower control arm. And on this side it has a 17mm little nut on there. So gonna get on both sides of that and take that off, and then we'll be able to, we're gonna hammer this bracket off of the shock, and then we'll be able to take the top bolts off of the shock up here in the shock tower. So take off these 3, I think they are 14mm bolts or 12s, I'm not sure, I can't tell from the camera. 14mm, and we're going to take those off, and then we'll be able to just wiggle the shock down. Alright, so I don't know. That's a lot lower. I can tell it's a lot lower than it used to be. The back isn't too much lower. There's still a little bit of gap, but honestly, I'm completely fine with that. I wasn't trying to like slam the car by any means, so that is perfectly fine. The front is a lot lower, way lower. This was a monster truck before. I'll have before and after pictures, definitely. It's because this side I haven't done it yet, and it's got like it fits a fist in here. Hold on, let's let that focus. Yeah, it fits my fist in here. Over here on this side, come on, focus. It's not going in there. 2 fingers compared to a fist. So I did get about the 2 inches I was looking for, so that's pretty cool. I'm just gonna go ahead and bust out the right side real quick, and then I'll go ahead and show you guys the car once it's all done. Alright, the job is done, and now I've got all the old struts, shock struts, whatever, I keep forgetting the name, on there, and the car has all the coilovers. And one last thing before I do the last little reveal of the car, I wanted to just say, dispose of these properly. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna keep them in this box in my trunk, and next time I go to the junkyard, which I usually go like once a month at least, I'll just go ahead and dispose of them there. I'll let them know, hey, yo, I mean, they're used to recycling all this stuff all day long, so I'm just gonna be like, yo, you guys want some of these? Usually, if anything, they'll give you money from. They're not gonna charge you by any means. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And yeah, so now the reveal of the car. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. I'm so stoked because I've been wanting to have coils on my car for so long, and I'm so glad I finally have them. So like I said, thank you for watching. If you liked, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, do what you gotta do. I'd really appreciate it, and stay tuned.